Hello, and today I want to compare the old DS115j against the Synology DS119j. Okay, so with the autumn fast approaching and winter right there on the horizon, it's worth talking about the brand new NASs and how they compare against the old one. And today I want to look at the 1-bay NAS. I want to look at the old DS115j from Synology that was released back in 2014-15 and how it compares with the brand new Synology DS119j. Now both of these devices are 1-bay NASs, and what that means in real terms is both of them can have one hard drive or SSD pre-installed inside, either 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch in size. But what else have they got in common before we start comparing them and fighting them off against each other? Well, first and foremost, other than the fact that they're 1-bay devices, that means there is no RAID. RAID is not an option with these devices. RAID, redundant array of independent disks, is not available on this because you can only have the one drive. But with options such as USB backup and third-party cloud backup and off-site backup, there are loads of ways in which you can still back up your data on this device. So just because if you go for either of these two devices that there's no RAID doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Next, both of them can have the Synology software DSM. Now, the extent to which they will both work is very different. You'll find out later on in the video, but for now I can tell you that both of them feature Disk Station Manager on board, at least version 6. Next, both of them have got access to an app center from Synology, which means there's multiple apps you can download, giving you file, multimedia level access, surveillance access, and backup for that's comparable to the likes of Apple Time Machine. As well as that, there's a host of mobile applications that are all geared to like DS File as a file manager, DS Photo as a photo manager, DS etc. etc. All of these different applications service different kinds of file access and file use, and these files for iOS and Android, these applications are available for both the 115j and the 119j. Next, they've both got a click and load plastic chassis that is both quiet and very small indeed. Now there's no hard drive tray on the front there, but that's because you're not going to hot swap the drive inside this. You've only got room for one drive, and if you pulled that out you'd knock out the entire system. But apart from that, these are very similar devices. We don't have an exact price tag on the DS119j, but what I can tell you, it's going to be very comparable to that of the old DS115j. The price difference is probably going to be about 20 to 30 pounds, I reckon, max. But to be perfectly honest, given the things I'm about to tell you, there's lots of reasons why that amount of money is more than worth it. Now if we look at the old unit, the CPU inside was a Marvell Armada. The CPU inside was 800 megahertz CPU, and that was a single core CPU along with 256 meg of memory. That is a particularly terrible internal hardware now in 2018. Think about it. A single core, I mean, your mobile phone will outpower this device by a country mile. On top of that, that is a small amount of memory. In terms of hardware on the device itself, you've got two USB 2.0 ports on the rear and a single gigabit LAN port and a rotating fan on the back. Now if we move over to the newer unit, the DS119j, the chassis is identical, and that goes to the USB and the fans on the rear. But it's the internals where we see a big jump right there into 2018. The unit arrives with a dual-core CPU, and it's a 64-bit architecture chip compared with the 32-bit architecture ARM in the previous unit. So they're both ARMs, very cost-effective, very power-efficient CPUs, but it's going to be double the cores, and from what I understand, at least 1 GHz to 1.4 GHz frequency on that CPU on the new unit. Now the new unit has the same amount of memory, which you'll forgive me is a bloody travesty at 256 megs, but there's still nevertheless that CPU almost on its own justifies the difference between these two devices, because thanks to that new CPU you are going to be able to support more cameras in surveillance, have more users synchronized use of users. You're going to be able to run far better media options, and just generally the device is going to be considerably more stable once you start playing back media of a higher bit rate and a higher density. So if you're buying this device for multimedia streaming in your home, to your TV, your laptop, your Sonos sound system, your whatever, this is going to be far more proficient over DLNA and handling all those different users at the same time. The same goes for the general operating system of Synology, that DSM software, because with that kind of hardware inside, it's going to run more apps and far more fluidly than on the older unit, the DS115j. I mean, there's no denying it. They're very similar devices and they're both designed to be very easy on your pocket. But if you end up buying the DS115j right now, you are doing yourself a disservice. You're going to be wasting money on a device that was already obsolete a year or two ago, and you've got the opportunity to go for this brand new unit, this new 1-bay. So once again, when it comes down to it, I know it sounds obvious, go for the new unit. If you're thinking of buying a 1-bay NAS right now and you just can't wait for the release of the new unit, take a look at the DS128A from QNAP. That is definitely the front runner right now, but otherwise, if you can wait out for this new Synology. It's definitely going to be worth your time and money. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next comparisons of new versus old. Do check out the NAS Compares for all the blog articles by your NAS from span.com. And of course, subscribe to this channel to stay abreast of all the new releases in NAS. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.